Honorable Chair. All protocols observed. My name is Celine Awol. I am the Chief Executive Officer at the International Institute for Legislative Affairs. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My name is Thomas Lindy. I'm the coordinator of the Kenya Tobacco Control Alliance.
Thank you. So as I've said, I'm very Sunda Pitari. I'm the chairman, Kenya Tobacco Control Alliance. This is an umbrella body that brings together all civil organizations in the country that are involved in tobacco control. And here, when we talk about tobacco control, we are actually trying to engage in activities that minimize the effects of tobacco. We work very closely with the Ministry of Health and the other government agencies. We are involved in public education. We do coordination. We do capacity building for our member organizations. And even whoever would like to know more about this and to get involved, including government agencies, and there are times we have even talked to parliamentarians, we have talked to MCAs in various counties, public health officers, among others. And we also do tobacco industry monitoring, just to ensure that the tobacco industry is acting within the law, because there are things that might be done that are contrary to what the law requires. So by so doing, we are making a contribution towards the health of Kenyans, and that's why we keep on talking about the profit or health. We have those two things that always don't agree, they don't move together, profit and health. When it comes to matters, tobacco control, we say, even if there is profit that we are looking at, that we might make, but then this profit is going to cost us our health, then we say no to that. So that is who we are. And for some time now that we are talking about this finance bill, Kenya has been a leader in the region. Other countries, even from outside Africa, have come to carry out benchmarking in Kenya, the way we conduct our affairs when it comes to taxation, especially of tobacco products. And therefore, I'll let my colleagues give us what we have, and then as we continue. And we are starting with the coordinator, Thomas Lindy. Very good.
And since we this is about the finance bill, legislative proposals in the finance bill, so that we save on time, please let's quickly look to the issues that we want to be considered in the finance bill 2023. I know you have given us a background, which is okay. Let's then move to the issues in the finance bill that you want to address.
Thank you.
Honorable Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity. Mine is simple. I know the Kenya Kwanza government is grappling where to get money. We are here to show you where the money is. Yeah, for sure. And at the same time, we want to save lives and protect yourself and ourselves and Kenyans from the tobacco epidemic. Yeah, so the issue before us is that we have the health issue. There is a huge burden of NCDs, and our engagement is that for a long time we have seen the tobacco industry having a field day in the country. In fact, the WHO recommends that they should be taxed at 70%. But our government is actually, that's excise duty tax. We are doing it at around less than 40%. So our cry is that this is an industry that has a lot of money at their disposal, and they are engaging in so many other things. So we just want this money that they are using to do many other things, that it can be channeled towards the taxes that the government actually needs, and so that we can also save the lives from the NCD and the many diseases that are caused by the tobacco product, and also so that we can protect the health burden that the country is experiencing due to some of these diseases. Yeah. So basically that's our prayer to this house. You'll refer to the documents that I've given you there, which show the issues that we are having as a country. The fact is that when we increase taxation on, it's a measure to reducing the demand of some of these products, nicotine products, which, and it also curbs the issue of illicit trade in some of these products. Right now we have a lot of nicotine pouches brought in by the tobacco industry, not taxed as required. We have e-cigarettes and other many emerging tobacco products that are coming in our country. So our prayer is that you will consider this item. We propose the retaining of annual inflation adjustment for all tobacco products, alcoholic beverages, and the sugar and sweetened products. So I'll just, this is a nutshell what we are actually calling for this Honorable House to consider. So I'll pass the mic to my sister, Celine, who will elaborate more a little bit about the taxation and what is required. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, Honorable Chair, Honorable members, we are excited to have this opportunity to share our specific proposals on the finance bill. And just to reiterate what my colleague has said, we all know that non-communicable diseases present a very big burden, and even the budgetary allocation that is allocated for addressing NCDs in the country is not sufficient. I'm sure as all of us in this room, we have engaged or have come into contact with probably a loved one or a friend who is suffering from one of these NCDs. The four major ones being cancer, cardiovascular diseases, chronic respiratory diseases, as well as diabetes. And it's always called upon, to come and support Harambe, Kuchanga, to pay the bill. Now, there are low-hanging fruits that have been proven through evidence that are effective in reducing the burden and controlling non-communicable diseases. And one of them is tax. And tax particularly applied on the major key risk factors for non-communicable diseases, which is tobacco use, alcohol use, and consumption of unhealthy diets, including sugar, sweetened beverages. And because these risk factors are modifiable, gives us the opportunity that if we apply interventions around controlling and minimizing them, then we stand a big chance of one, preventing the onset of these diseases, and number two, eliminating or even reducing in the cases where the diseases have already occurred. So in as far as taxation of these products is concerned, I'll just give a quick example of tobacco taxes. So Kenya, we have really done a great job in the past in terms of how we tax and even administer taxes around tobacco products. However, this is not effective because of two reasons. One, Chair, currently we are taxing particularly cigarettes on two levels. So we have cigarettes with filters are taxed at a slightly higher rate than cigarettes that do not have filters, that is plain cigarettes. Now what this does is that it provides the opportunities for substitution, because remember, smoking and tobacco consumption is addictive, and it does not confer any positive health benefits whatsoever to the person who is smoking. In fact, people who smoke or people who use these products then end up spending even the money or the resources that they could spend on essential products and essential needs to this addictive habit. However, when we have cigarettes taxed cheaper simply because they do not contain filters, it means that when somebody is not able to afford, if they normally smoke the filtered cigarettes, when they do not have money to buy that, they can easily buy the plain cigarettes. So the proposal is that we need to have a uniform, simple tax system for all cigarettes, regardless of how they look, whether they have filters or not. And Chair, we have implemented this before. In 2015 up to 2017, we actually had all cigarettes being taxed at the same rate. And there were benefits that were recorded. Number one, revenue increased, and consumption of cigarettes, there was a drop that was seen in consumption of cigarettes. But currently, in 2017, we reverted back to 2 tiers. Now, the finance bill of 2023 this year does not make any proposals to increase taxes on tobacco, alcohol, and sugar sweetened beverages. And these products are harmful. They are unhealthy. They cause a lot of health harms. They cause a lot of economic challenges even at the household level. In Kenya currently, non-communicable diseases account for not less than 39% of all of the mortality that we record in Kenya, and more than 50% of the admission in public hospitals in Kenya is as a result of non-communicable diseases. And NCDs are known to reduce household income by up to almost 30%. That is, of course, as a result of the treatment, as a result of the lost income that is diverted to other expenditure that is not health related. So our proposal is that this committee, number one, should consider applying excise taxes on cigarettes, on tobacco products, all of them. There's a big range of them in the Excise Duty Act of 2015. So there are cigarettes, there are nicotine, non-combustible oral nicotine pouches, there are cigars, there are quite a number of them. Last year we had the rate increased and inflation adjustment applied. Now, Honorable Chair, the second point is that we are proposing that the current proposal in the Finance Bill 2023 to repeal Section 10 of the Excise Duty Act are not to be implemented. And this is simple, that when that section is removed, it means that inflation adjustment will not be applied. What's going to happen is that, number one, government revenue will reduce. Because when inflation is not adjusted, the real value of the excise duty collected will reduce over time. That is number one. And my colleague has actually just explained that the government is cash strapped. We are looking for opportunities to raise money, and this is a low-hanging fruit. So we are not. So number one, we are not increasing the taxes you are currently applying on these products. Number two, we are even taking several steps back to 2015, or before 2015 when the Excise Duty Act was enacted, by repealing Section 10 of the Excise Duty Act. So what's going to happen is that these products will become affordable over time, because then the inflation will not be adjusted, the real value of the excise and the price of these products will reduce over time, they will become affordable, and we've actually done a kind of a scenario building. Should we continue, especially for cigarettes, should we continue the way we are continuing now? Currently, the most consumed or smoked cigarettes brand, they are smoked at, the figure is about 192 million packs a year, annually in Kenya. If we do not change, if we continue taxing cigarettes differently, some cheaper than others, and if we do not raise the tax, what's going to happen in the next 5 years is that whereas the prices may increase, that is if we adjust the inflation and don't increase the taxes and do not harmonize the tax structure, consumption will actually increase by more than 20 packs on top of the 192 million packs per year. But if we unify the tax structures, number one, and increase the rate so that we reach that recommended level by WHO, that at least 70% of the retail price is actually coming from excise, and we increase and we apply the inflation adjustment, we are actually going to have this consumption reduced to around less than 170 million packs a year. And the prices, because the prices increase. So because evidence has shown that when you increase tobacco taxes by at least 10%, is going to lead to a decrease in the consumption by at least 8%. And this is particularly beneficial to households or economics that low income, earning economics like Kenya. So our proposal is that section 10 of the excise duty act should not be repealed. And what we are recommending further as chair is that let that provision remain in the act. However, the Commissioner General and the officers in charge can apply discretion in terms of whether to actually apply it every year or after every 2 years, but not remove it completely from the act. Yeah, because we've seen that during COVID, the inflation was not, adjustment was not being applied, but it was still retained in the act. So our prayer is, do not repeal section 10 of the Excise Duty Act, retain it, but then considerations on how it is applied, whether it is applied every year or after every 2 years, then can be considered. The last chair is still on the Excise Duty Act as proposed in the finance bill, that is section 43B(X), that is proposing, and this one actually we are supporting it, chair. So it is proposing a 15% excise duty on advertisements on alcohol, gambling, betting, and all that. We support this because then it's going to increase the cost of putting up advertisements, especially for alcohol. We see that the gains we have made in tobacco control is as a result of the total ban on advertisement, promotion, and sponsorship of tobacco products, but we don't see the same for alcohol. Alcohol is advertised left, right, center, everywhere. So these companies have the muscle, they can pay this money. However, yes, we support it, but we also want to encourage that other policy considerations be made for these excise duties to actually be felt directly by the consumer, because these big companies will easily mop up that money, and because they have big budgets for advertisement. And so the policy direction that we are proposing is that considerations be made to actually think about completely banning advertisement of alcohol. Alcohol is a big problem in this country, I believe we appreciate that. But when we have adverts all over, it actually increases availability and affordability and continues to glamorize alcohol when we see the harms that alcohol presents on families, apart from even on the user. We see the harms in terms of the family level, gender-based violence. We see the trauma, the mental problem that it presents to the families that have somebody who's addicted to alcohol in the family. So we propose that section that it shouldn't be removed. I know that there are some presentations that have made in this before you, this committee that proposed for it to be removed. We are actually proposing that it be not be removed, and if even further policy considerations be made, I consider completely banning advertisements on alcohol. With that, Chair, I submit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think you have made your point. Unless you have something else, right? Is there a question from one of the members? Perhaps my question is, there's a concept in economics you call lafaka. And this perhaps is what informed this proposal, where when you increase tax to a particular level, any further increase actually leads to a drop in the revenue collected. So a study done by independent institutions actually showed that is where we were on the excise duty on alcohol and tobacco, where we increased so much that came to a time, so increasing it any further, and you could actually see, we will share with you that report, you could actually see the downward trend of revenues. 2 is alcohol business a legitimate business in Kenya? Yes. Is tobacco business a legitimate business in Kenya? Yes. So therefore, there is nothing illegal about what they do. But there was also again, other independent surveys that showed because of the increased costs of these items, because of taxation, it becomes easy now to have all these illicits, cigarettes and alcohol. And one of the problems we have in terms of the health implication of this particular plant is that now you have a population that is consuming products that are not tested, that are not safe. Tobacco business. I know one of my constituents who does this business was explaining to me formally how they are able to smuggle. I think it's but he got arrested and sorry altogether. How they were able to smuggle cigarettes from Uganda because the rates in Uganda are way lower. So, and how they move, cigarettes because of their weight and their value, it's like cash. And then when they are smuggled, it's very easy, you cannot account for them in the market. Because once it gets to the market, it just disappears, it just gets consumed. So then you end up having a lot of losses on revenue you would have collected. Because now what you have in the market, at least what this committee has been told, is tobacco from Uganda that has not been paid for the duties. So what is, let's say, is it now to collect less revenue, to allow illicits in the country, or is it to say for this particular year let us not increase the tax? Lastly, talking about the jobs created. When these illicits get into the market, the jobs that would have been created by the legitimate businesses again are lost. So you lose revenue, you lose business, and you have all manner of illicit things in the market. Which now, your presentation on health now becomes a problem because now you don't even know what this person consumes, you don't even know how to treat it, you don't have control over the quality of the products. What would be your thinking around that?
That the tobacco industry really holds on. And when you cannot legislate and enforce your laws because you are fearing, it's just like saying you negotiate with the terrorists so that they don't continue doing whatever they are doing. So you cannot allow impunity. You allow fellows to rule over you because you are fearing. Kenya has signed and ratified that protocol on elimination of illicit trade across the borders. And what we are supposed to be saying is we enforce the laws that we have, not that we relax the laws so that we do as criminals want, because if we don't, then the criminals will do ABCD. So I don't think that will be the right way to go. We are supposed to look at what is the best for us, have our legislation in place, and then put their measures that will ensure that we are doing what is right. During the COVID time, every other business went down except tobacco industry that registered mega profits. One, because somebody somehow in government listed tobacco as an essential product during that time. And we made a lot of noise. It was changed, yes. But then, as tobacco industry was busy doing its business, moving around.
Is that accurate? Is that what
Yes.
yes. Was,
It was.
Yes, it was.
It was.
It was done by the minister in charge of industrialization and trade, whatever. It was there.
It's essential for
So that is what happened. And it was very wrong because Kenya has signed an international protocol, WHO FCTC, and that forms part of our laws. And therefore, we have signed and ratified the WHO FCTC, which is now part of our laws, and we must implement the law. We are not supposed to give it or whatever. And then the industry was saying very clearly that much of this money, or most of these profits, came from their new products. There was a product that was also registered irregularly called velo, and today it's called velo, but it was lift. And it was wrongly registered by the Pharmacies and the Poisons Board. The registration was done when we made a lot of noise, yes, but the culprits were never brought to book. We are still waiting. So that profit that they are making, and then nicotine products were the treasury recommended.
Sorry, what did you say was not registered? Was not given up to date? There was supposed to be
Lift. There was a product called Lift,
yes,
oral nicotine pouches by BAT, that was registered as a pharmaceutical product by Poisons and Pharmacy Board, which was irregular. So when we made noise, the cabinet secretary deregistered the product and gave conditions for the product to be back in the market. There were conditions to be met, which have not been met to date, but the product has come back in the name of Velo, and it is all over. We are living in illegality. Impunity is actually taking place. Then when the treasury recommended high tax, how much was this? 5,000 shillings per kilogram of nicotine products. Unfortunately, our honorable members reduced it to 1,200. I don't know whether the House had better information than the Treasury when coming up with the figures, or whether there are different sources of information concerning research. So this one gave us a problem. We made noise. Recently, before this budget, the leadership of the tobacco industry in Kenya talked clearly that they were in talks with the government so that they are not taxed heavily, that they should be looked at favorably in the coming budget, which is this one. And looking at it, they have been looked at favorably. So these are things that have nothing to do with the research, they have nothing to do with what, it is just impunity, and that those who want to have their way are having their way. And we are saying it should stop. These products should be taxed the way they are supposed to be taxed. We should enforce our laws, and we move ahead like other countries are doing. They are overtaking us, and they have been looking at us as the leaders in the region. And we cannot sit down and say, give all kind of excuses for doing wrong and for going backwards instead of moving forward. That's our request.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Honorable Chair, if you allow me,
Sure.
on-
Just a minute.
okay.
6:30 p.m. Just a minute.
Okay, great. On the illicit trade, I just wanted to point out that with the EGMS system that you have, the electronic goods management system, when it was implemented, when it started, actually reduced illicit trade in tobacco products from 15% to 5%. And the issue of smuggling, Honorable Chair, is not necessarily as a result of higher taxes. That points to poor enforcement, porous border control, because with the EGMS system, we should be able to identify products that through the excise tax stamp that are fixed. So if we go with that argument that we should not tax higher so that we do not encourage illicit trade, whether it is in tobacco or alcohol, my question would be, would that make consumption of the illicit products less The answer is no. So we have reduced taxes on the, let me call them the formal tobacco and alcoholic products, that the tax is reduced so that we do not encourage consumption of the illicit products, but that will not reduce the consumption of those illicit products. It will actually increase. So we'll be increasing the burden on both ways, from the products that should have been taxed, and if anything, in the instance of the illicit brews and for the alcoholic products, NACADA recently launched a survey report, and some of the recommendations they made, should they be implemented, would actually address these problems. Number one, trying to find ways of bringing these products into the regulatory regime, trying to find ways of addressing ethanol, and we know that ethanol is a big problem for the potable spirits, and these products are also very bad in as far as driving up consumption, and even looking for ways to develop standards, or where the standards are, for them to be enforced. So what we need to do is to enforce the laws that we have, especially EGMS for addressing the illicit movement of products, and look also at the border controls. But that should not be a reason for not applying taxes. Thank you, sir.